The people who were among the audience put their hands on their heads and their jaws dropped in shock. No one could believe that with just a few skills, Jiang had managed to defeat a fifth transformation assassin, and that without even using the 9 miasma wings. No one knew what skill our boy had used a moment ago, and the little some knew was that he hadn't used the sky sword nor the power of thunder. It was something no one had ever seen before. Jakshuya Vayu's father put his hand near his mouth and with a smile mocked Gukashe for having acted hastily again, realizing that he didn't know his disciple very well. With a confused gaze, Gukashe made it clear that he did know his disciple very well, but due to worry, he had gotten too confused. Deep down he was furious because he didn't know how many tricks and surprises Jiang was hiding. Our boy went back up on stage, and the great dreamer gave him a thumbs up and praised him. Gukashe began observing Jiang and told old Jai that he wasn't a class changer, so he wasn't very familiar with those kinds of things. He knew old Jai had seen everything, so he asked what was the black spear Jiang Cheng had used against the assassin. Old Jai explained that according to his experience, he feared that it was a kind of dark class, and most likely it was of divine level. Upon hearing this, Gukashe could not help but wonder if Jiang Chen had awakened a new class. Having 3 divine level classes, he did not know how a third transformation soul could withstand 3 classes. With a kind and proud gaze, the great dreamer praised Jiang and mentioned that he had fought very well during this battle. With a sincere expression, our boy said that the combat had not been so impressive. He promised next time to defeat his opponent with a single blow. Several mages went up on stage and using their powers launched confetti all over the stadium. Upon seeing this, people began to cheer for Jiang, saying that he was the lord of heavenly disasters and the king of the seas. Jiang put his arms behind his back and his attention was fixed on someone. It was Luo Sando and her father. Luo Sando was holding a box, and while her eyes were shining with joy, her father placed his hand on his chest and with a smile introduced himself as the head of the Luo family. Together with his daughter Luo Sando, he had come to deliver a divine sword in honor of him becoming the lord of heavenly disasters and the king of the seas. The man who was standing next to the sofa clenched and with an angry gaze began to stare at the man who was sitting next to Gukashe, saying that it was all his fault for competing with him to be the first to offer a gift. In the end, Luo Bando had taken the lead. With a confused expression, the other man said that not even he imagined that the Luo family would be so bold. Zai Xuanvayu's father began to stare at old Gu and said that for talking with him, he had also lost the opportunity to be the first to give a gift to Jiang Cheng. Gukashe crossed his arms and with a serious gaze mentioned that this matter had nothing to do with him. Luo Sando opened the box which had a powerful sword. It began to emit an intense aura, leaving Jiang somewhat surprised. He grabbed the sword and its aura began to enter his body. Seeing this, he realized that this sword was trying to devour him. The ancestral tree of all things manifested. Jiang tightly grabbed the sword and his eyes began to shine with evil. Our boy was not a weakling easy to deal with, so he asked the old tree to take care of the sword. The ancestral tree helped Jiang master the sword. While his eyes were shining with excitement, with a smile, he swung the sword forcefully several times, making it clear that from now on he was going to be its owner. Seeing that Jiang had managed to master the sword, Luo Bando's eyes filled with surprise. He couldn't believe that the sword had accepted him as its owner. Luo Sando's eyes began to shine with joy. With a smile she told her father that Jiang was impressive. Luo Bando realized that this gift really was the most suitable for Jiang, thinking that his daughter undoubtedly understood her son-in-law better than anyone in the world. Upon hearing this, she blushed and asked her father not to say nonsense. Luo Bando extended his hand and revealed that this sword was called Tianjui, a fourth level on the list of divine weapons of Great Xia. It occupied the 11th place. This sword was one of the fierce beasts among weapons. When Tianjui was unleashed, it had to take a life in exchange. Otherwise it turned against its owner and hurt them. Upon hearing this, Jiang's eyes filled with curiosity. He began to inspect the weapon in silence. Luo Bando closed his eyes and coughed, revealing that he had given this sword to Gukashe when he was crowned as the Celestial Sword. Upon hearing this, Gukashe also coughed. With his face full of sweat, Luo Bando revealed that at that time Jiang's master wasn't very fond of it. With a nervous gaze, the great dreamer explained to our boy that Gukashe was very excited to have the sword but couldn't hold it and almost got devoured by its backlash. Jiang's eyes filled with surprise. He couldn't believe he had managed to master the sword that his master hadn't been able to. Everyone's attention was fixed on Gukashe. Upon feeling this, he closed his eyes and couldn't help but blush, making it clear that it was normal for a disciple to be stronger than the master. He also mocked them, saying that they, fools with chicken eyes, were never going to have a disciple like his in this life. With a confused gaze, old Ji asked if Gukashe was upset. Mu Henkyu, who was holding a box, went up on stage along with her grandfather. People realized that he was the crowned king, Muhenan from the southern war zone of Great Xia. He had come to deliver a pearl of the sea god as tribute to the lord of heavenly disasters and king of the seas. People were shocked to see the pearl of the sea god, realizing that the Mu family had invested heavily since this treasure was loot that Jiang Nan's southern army had taken from the ocean its 30 years ago, a water treasure. Inside it was the source of an entire sea, and if fully released, it could fill a vast ocean or could also be used as a brick to hit someone. Our boy took the box and with a nervous expression thanked them. Mu Henkyu couldn't help blushing. She clenched her fists and with a smile thanked her grandfather. Muhenan gave her a gentle pat on the back and with a cheerful expression said that Jiang was too polite and that they were family. Just then, Tang Yin and her father also went up to the stage with a gift. The father asked Muhenan to leave the stage now that he had delivered the gift. The crowned king of the southern war zone of Great Xia, named Tang Wanchuan, decided to offer 3/8 transformation demonics phase as tribute. Cai Kunyu and her father also stepped into the stage. Jai Hongyan, commander-in-chief of Great Xia's war zone, decided to give Jiang 20 drops of god and demon blood. Jai Oki began to gaze at the ground and felt sad since they, the night watch, were too poor and had nothing of flying to offer. With a sincere expression, Duan Feng clarified that not only did they have nothing, but sometimes they also had to depend on Jiang Chen to get by. Jai Gang stood up, clenched his fist, and with a serious gaze admitted that they were poor, but revealed that they did have something of value that they could give as a gift to little Jiang. He approached Jiang and while his eyes were shining with joy, he opened his fist, revealing a potion. With a smile, in the name of all the night watch he gave our boy a strand from the source of faith. Jiang's attention was fixed on it, and he couldn't help but feel happy. With a confused expression, Hongyao asked her master if he didn't think this gift was a bit empty. Dukakshin's eyes began to shine with confidence. He explained that these kinds of things were hard to describe, since faith was the purest, most fervent and selfless. According to him, the gift could be cheap, which made it more valuable. Jiang took the bottle and his eyes filled with tears of happiness and his body began to tremble. Jai Gang revealed that this strand of faith gathered more than 800,000 inhabitants of Kujian city. It was capable of resisting a blow strong enough to move a nation. Jiang gave Jai Gang a hug, realizing why he had been so busy lately. He had been preparing this gift in secret. Jai Gang revealed that soon they would go into the underground cave, and this was also the last gift he had for Jiang Qing. Du Caxin and Hongyao also went up on stage. With a serious gaze, Du Caxin handed our boy a talisman. Today was Jiang's big day, and as his useless master and mistress, they had to celebrate with him. This heaven-slashing talisman had been forged by them using the essence of the Sword of Heaven when activated. It could withstand a blow capable of toppling a nation, and even though it only had the power to endure one strike. At the crucial moment, it could be just what Jiang needed. Jiang extended his hands to take the talisman, and Hongyao began to show a smile. Our boy grabbed the talisman and asked if he could do whatever he wanted with it. Du Caxin said yes, since from now on it was his. Jiang offered Jai Gang the talisman, bowed his head before him, and because he knew they were going into a cave, he asked him to take the talisman with him. Upon seeing this, Jai Gang became confused, while on the other hand Du Caxin felt surprised. Jiang was called stupid for underestimating others, and people thought he was arrogant and capricious, but he had no other family than Jai Gang and the others. Before reaching the sixth transformation, the god of war was not going to allow him to go with them to the cave, so he could not be at ease without knowing if something bad was going to happen to Jai Gang and the others. Jai Gang placed his hand on Jiang's shoulder and with a serious gaze decided to obey Jiang and everything. He gave him his word and promised that in the future they would fight alongside him as strong warriors, asking him to please accept the strand from the source of faith. Our boy took out a box with all the gifts he had received. With a smile he mentioned that they were his family. In the box was Jian's previous equipment and the gifts he had received. He decided to give them to Jai Gang so that he could distribute them among the other members of Night Watch. Jai Gang panicked, and seeing this, our boy asked him not to be modest and accept this gift. With a confused gaze, Jai Gang accepted, since he had said that today he would listen to Jiang and everything. Aunt Tang and the others couldn't help but cry. She felt sad because she didn't know why they always had to take advantage of Jiang Qing. Duan Feng made it clear that they were a family and shouldn't speak like strangers. They had to strive even more and be stronger to be worthy of being Jiang's family. At that moment, a strange red rift appeared in the sky. Everyone's attention was fixed on it, believing another assassin had come. From the rift emerged a man and a powerful dragon. This man was none other than Jai Lingqiu. With a smile, he began pointing at the dragon with his thumb. He climbed onto the head of the dragon, revealing that this dragon, a 9th-level demonic beast, was his gift. Everyone's attention was fixed on the powerful dragon. According to our boy, Jai Lingqiu's gift was very good. Since being such a fierce beast, it was perfect food for little Nine and the others. Since the last time they had reproduced, it had been very difficult for Jiang to keep them well fed. Huan Yao began to point at the dragon with her finger, and her eyes widened in surprise. According to her, it was expected that Zhai Lingqiu would give Jiang such an amazing gift. She asked her master when they could look as impressive as him. With a smile, he mentioned that they still needed to keep practicing. Zhai Lingqiu raised his sword, and while it was shining, he made it clear that the flame of arrival of the great Xi was never going to be extinguished. Upon hearing this, everyone raised their fists and began to shout the name of Jiang. In the spatial chaos of the underground cavern, 4 powerful beings gathered and began to observe a portal. All had heard the news that on the home planet of Great Xi, millions of creatures of the 9 miasma wings had been born. Although last time, the 10th seat of the Church of the Ancient God had used their power from the ancient gods to eliminate millions of creatures, this was still a danger they could not ignore. Jiang Xunji, surprisingly, had led the army of god assassins into the underground cavern and massacred the 13 demonic cities. If it weren't for their intervention by their ancient demonic ancestors to instill fear and power, they would now be in grave danger. Among them was Demon Lord Zhai Lingqiu. From the ancient demon race, with a penetrating gaze, he extended his hand and revealed that in Great Xi there was an old saying, if lips were lost, teeth grew cold. He proposed that all races unite to eradicate Great Xi. The old man with the giant head was the immortal elder Yangxiu. From the ancient immortal race, he began to stroke his beard and made it clear that his race was not going to get involved in this kind of matter. According to him, the massacre of the demons was their own fault. He personally thought that Great Xi was quite good. Their people were courteous and respectful. If they were not attacked, they would not attack. Furthermore, their race had already allied with humans 400 years ago. They could not betray their word. With an angry expression, Zhai Lingqiu began to point at the old man and asked him to stop talking nonsense, since everyone in the cave knew about the schemes of the immortal race. According to him, their alliance with humans was only conspiracies and lies. During the last 400 years, they had been supporting the 3 overseas islands hoping that they could conquer Great Xi. They wanted to take over the whole planet, but Zhai Lingqiu made it clear that their plan was not going to work. Old Yangxiu said that Zhai Lingqiu's words did not make much sense since just by accepting to come today, it was already a great favor from the immortal race. Zhai Lingqiu argued that no one from ancient races paid attention to the immortal race. The dragon god Xuan of the dragon race intervened in the conversation and asked why they were fighting among themselves if they had all come to talk about a possible alliance. Eradicating the Great Xi was not something with which the dragon race agreed, but someone had to move forward first. Inside the caverns, Great Xi only had 3 major cities, that of the Tearing Star, that of the Greedy Wolf, and that of the 7 assassins. Destroying them was easy, but once they left the cavern and reached Great Xi's main headquarters, they would have to face the Great Dreamer. She had existed since the era of transformation and was a supreme-level transformer. If she unleashed and channeled the spiritual energy of 100 billion people from Great Xi, her power could be compared to that of an ancestral god. If they attacked directly now, at least they would lose hundreds of level 9 warriors, and no one from the cave races could bear that price. He mentioned that the demonic race had many powerful warriors and suggested that they go to the front first, and the dragon race could cover the rear. The demon king Jiui of the demonic race explained that because the path of heaven had sealed all beings of level 9 or higher among the races, anyone who dared to act would be destroyed by heaven itself. According to him, a suicide attack at this moment would be no different than drinking poison to quench thirst. He revealed that the seal of the 10th level was already half unlocked, and in less than half a year, it was going to be completely released, and when that moment came, the ancient beings of the 10 great races could unleash all their level 10 warriors with ease. Jiui extended his hand and revealed that Daxia only had 3 ninth level cultivators, and all of them still needed time to reach the next level. That was going to be the perfect moment to attack. Old Yungsu nodded his head and explained to Chaling that no one was willing to pay the price for the recklessness of the demonic race, much less die just before dawn. Shu and Kang also agreed, since during these next few months, they could continue with the original plan. They had to support the external human forces to gradually weaken Daxia. He only feared that they would end up regretting it sooner or later. The portal began to show Jiang. They knew a simple warrior of 3 transformations was not to be feared, since their demonic race had already bribed the most powerful assassins from several countries, and they trusted that by joining together they could eliminate Jiang Chen soon. And even if they failed, it wouldn't matter much, since the Great Tianyuan tournament between the 3 overseas islands and Daxia was going to begin in 3 months. Besides, they had already granted dragon blood to the marine race of origin Xu, and Kang's eyes began to shine with evil and a smile appeared on his face. He knew that by then, the dragon prodigy of the marine race was also going to participate, and with everything prepared, Jiang Chen was going to die without any doubt. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,